Oh, man.
This meeting is being transcribed.
All right, Jason, I assume you can see my screen.
Yes, yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
How many people do we have?
Four, three without you.
Okay.
You can see it on the, I hate the new WebEx, but you can see it on the participants panel. Okay, we got 7 now, excluding us. I don't see Jim yet, but I texted him. He was going to come over, but then he texted earlier and said he was going to do it at home.
Okay.
I've unmuted everyone. You have to unmute yourself, but if anyone can't hear me, please let me know. Jason, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Sounds good, Joe.
Okay, cool. My wife was saying she couldn't hear me downstairs, so I was like, oh crap, are others not hearing? Okay, Jim's coming on.
Hey, I got a question. Right. Hey, I want to be a reason. I'm calling back. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right. Are you on?
That sounded like Jim.
Yeah, and then he muted himself, so. Guess we'll give it a few more minutes. Welcome to everyone who has joined. Thank you for doing your addresses. That's really helpful. Helps me not have to guess later. I got you, Jim.
I'm showing 2 participants are waiting in the lobby.
Thanks. You can also let them in, Jason,
Okay.
because you're
My
open.
name. So I got out of it.
I got my name.
Okay.
There's a call-in user 1. Are you associated with one of the? I guess what address are you?
Sure.
Call-in user 1. I can hear your background. Can you tell me who you are?
Sorry. If you're talking to me, this is Alyssa.
Oh, thanks, Alyssa.
Hello.
Call-in user 2. I guess did anyone else call in? There is a call-in user 2.
Jim and Chris are on the phone as well as watching on the screen because we don't have sound.
Thank you.
Several joining. That's good.
There's a call-in user 3 showing up. Did someone else call in? If you could identify yourself, that would be helpful.
This is Melissa Mays, and I just called in.
Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. And what's your address again?
We're at 24 Hampton Lane Court.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, this is Mary B. Hyder.
Hi, Mary. Thanks for joining.
No problem.
All right, we got about 15, 16 people excluding the board. So I think that's a good number probably. We'll maybe wait one more minute and then we'll start. We of course don't want to misuse anyone's time and ensure that we are using your time well.
And I'll try to, while you're speaking, I'll try to watch the people showing up and let them in as well.
Thanks. I think I finally set up my screen for it to make sense. The last time we did this, even though we did a test run, I still was like, the menus had changed so much. Display was different, but I think I got a good handle of it this time.
I don't know if you're seeing it, but I'm being texted by people that they're still waiting in the waiting room. So I don't know if you get notified, but I'm just letting you know that.
I see
Thanks.
one.
Oh, yep. I see 10:15. I'm not seeing anyone else in the waiting room.
It was 10:15 I heard from.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, please let us know if there's anybody else that says they're waiting or if you hear from somebody.
All right, I guess it's six after. We'll call that good, and we'll continue to monitor to make sure anyone who joins can get in and try to make it auto. I apologize. Next time I'll just make it so everyone does not have to get let in. So Jim, Jason, and I are all on. We want to welcome you to this meeting. This was an advertised meeting in one of the letters that went out, I think, in October from the board last year. And so, we wanted to honor that because we know a lot of people were asking if this meeting was going to occur. And so when we spoke to Joey Dunlap and Leslie and Steve, they said, we might as well just punt it to the board that gets elected. And so that's what we did. And so we just want to welcome you to the meeting. Thank you for joining and taking an hour out of your time. So the agenda is pretty brief, just a brief housekeeping, update overview of where we are today, our financials, talk about some neighborhood repair that we noticed, and then just open it up to questions from you guys. The main focus of this meeting is really to address your questions and make sure everyone's on the same page. WebEx is being recorded. I have set it so that you all can unmute yourself as needed. So you can either raise your hand or just unmute yourself and ask. That's fine. If, we're hoping everyone's professional on this meeting, but if anyone wasn't, we'll just mute you. I don't think that's going to happen. And please, no name calling. The format of the meeting is brief presentation, member Q&A. So just a quick overview. This was sent in letters, but we just want to make sure everyone is aware IPM quit on December 9th. The notice or letter we received was dated November 24th, but we got the email from IPM on December 9th. We accepted their resignation for termination on 12/31. We went out for bids from a number of management companies, and the board unanimously chose Community Financials. They are set up. We are not using them as a fully managed solution like IPM was. We're just utilizing them to pay our bills and collect our dues. One of the things we really liked about them is no bills get paid unless both the president and treasurer approve it. So we have a lot more say in how our bills are handled. All the covenant requirements will be managed by the HOA board. None of that is being managed by Community Financials. And then we will provide, I meant to do it here, I forgot, I apologize, but we will provide everyone their phone number and email address in case you have problems logging into their portal. Then they can provide assistance for that. But all other questions neighborhood related, you can contact us. We do have the website whwhoa.org, and we have our contact info there. So it's very, very easy to reach out. We'd be happy to talk to anybody. Honestly, Community Financials has a huge offering for the board as well as for the members. The board has access to see who's paid, who hasn't paid, all from our portal. We also have access to see all the bills that come in. And like I said, both myself as well as Jason Fallon, the treasurer, we get to go in and choose whether or not to accept, and we both have to accept before something gets paid. So we have a lot more transparency within, the HOA to make sure things are getting paid. Not saying there wasn't transparency last time, just saying that, we, the board, get to see what is getting paid and have a say in it. And then the members have transparency into the current and past dues that have been, sent to them, as well as whatever files we choose to post out on the portal. So we have posted all the covenants, and we've posted the plats, and we've posted, I think, the contracts, and most of that stuff is on the website, and the plats will be added soon to the website as well. But we can add anything at any time onto the portal and, set viewings so that you guys can view. And so it just gives us a lot more flexibility than what we previously had, as well as the board has a lot more insight into, if the board were to choose to do infractions and things like that as called out in the covenants and do liens, we can view all of that real time on, I believe, a map, but we haven't explored it all. It's been a really busy time as we've transitioned to a new management company and tried to come up to speed on everything going on. But there's a lot of offerings that Community Financials gives for both members and the board, and we believe it's going to be a pleasant experience for everyone. If you have not provided your email address to us or phone number, please email us because we want to provide that to Community Financials. I believe you can only log into the portal if we've provided them your email information, but I may be incorrect on that. But we did mail a member letter to everyone with the dues as well as a welcome letter from Community Financials. It was sent last Friday, but of course with all the snow, mail got halted for a number of days, but I believe USPS resumed today. So we're hoping you get it by week's end, but you may get it next week. For anyone who has provided their email, you should have received a Community Financials email. They did screw up some of the addresses, and so people got the wrong bills, and we apologize for that. It was a Community Financials mistake. We've been assured it's been fixed. So hopefully that's not an issue moving forward. I don't believe it will be. And then we did want to let you know that there is an open lawsuit against a member. We did not open it. It was filed in October of 2024. IPM filed it against a member who was repairing their fence without board approval. And that lawsuit goes to court in March. And so the attorney of record has not been returning any of our phone calls. And so we've had to hire a new attorney to take over the case. And of course, we have to hire an attorney for this because we have an open lawsuit. And so we're digging into the matter further to get a better understanding that. We're also researching fines and liens. IPM handled everything with fines, and the covenants call out liens. And so we're researching both fines and liens to get a better handle of that. And then we did finally get all the records from IPM, I believe 2 Fridays ago. We did request those records in November, and we finally got them about a week and a half ago. And so we're digging through those just to get a better understanding of the neighborhood and, understanding of our financials. So we're continuing to dig, but just wanted to bring you guys up to speed on that. And then just a quick overview of, the board has been very busy. We've, all of us are vested in the neighborhood. And so the actions we've taken since 12/10 are we've walked the neighborhood common ground, all 5 pieces of common ground, and have noted any issue we found in the common ground. both the board as well as volunteers were utilized to mail the December letter. Instead of using IPM for that, it saved the neighborhood $190 in processing fees that IPM would have charged. We shut off the power, removed and stored the pond pump, and we'll be cleaning it as well. And that saved the neighborhood $400 because normally we pay someone to do that. And we will be cleaning and reinstalling the pump in spring, again, saving approximately $400 to the neighborhood. We also utilize volunteers and ourselves to mail the dues letter on January 23rd. Community Financials was going to charge us approximately $600 for that. So us doing the work ourselves saved around $520. We're just looking for ways to save money, and if we can do things ourselves and utilize volunteers within the neighborhood, then we feel like it's value added. We've fixed the short on the front entrance signs, partially resolving the issue. We realize the floodlights are not working, and we think we understand the problem, but because the ground is frozen, we're unable to fix it. But as soon as the ground thaws, our plan is to go out and get those floods back on. And we resolved the signs being out, I believe, in under 12 hours of being notified. So we are, and that's Jason. Jason did all the work on that. We're trying really hard to address things quickly. We're obtaining bids for the 2026 landscape contract. It expired. We're not replacing it for any other reason than IPM told us that it had expired and we had to find had to get a new contract. So we went out for bids, and we're still waiting on a few bids to come in before we make a decision. We also went to St. Charles Record of Deeds to view all past records and obtain most of them digitally because we did not have most of those records, and we don't know anyone who did. And a lot of that has been posted out on the website. We've been recreating the member email phone list because 28% of the previous list was found to be in error, and so we want to ensure that we are emailing the right people and not people who've moved. And then we had to recreate the vendor list because it was not provided to us. So we think we have that fully established, but it is a slight work in process. And then we did work with City of Health, St. Charles City of Health, to waive the aquatic license late fee. So having a pool requires a yearly aquatic license. It was sent to IPM in November to pay, and they did not. And then they contacted us and told us that there was a late fee and that we needed to also pay the licensing fee. And the license itself had a lot of incorrect information on it, and the only way to fix it was to go in person to City of Health. So we have fixed all the incorrect information on our license, obtained the 2026 license, and they waived the $50 late fee, so we saved the neighborhood $50. Those are, I think the major highlights of the things we've been working on. But we've been meeting weekly since the election, and so we are very vested in making sure we take care of the neighborhood. I'm going to turn it over to Jason for the financials.
Joe, can I ask a quick question on those notes? You called out there's a lawsuit, or we're suing someone because they were repairing their fence. Why would we sue somebody for repairing and maintaining their property, or were they rebuilding it to a spec that's not approved by the subdivision?
So that's a great question, Todd. It is not exactly clear the answer to that question. We can say that the height of the fence was what was called into question from the beginning, but we have verified that there are multiple fences that were approved in the time frame that this person requested board approval of repairing her fence, and the request was denied, but other people within 100 yards of this property have fences that violate the height requirement out of the covenants that were approved during that time period. So we're uncertain as to why this was turned into a lawsuit. I did talk to Joey Dunlap when we transferred power. He was not aware of a lawsuit. So I don't know if anyone on the board was aware that there was a lawsuit filed by IPM, but IPM's contract specifically states, and it's out on the website for anyone to look at. It specifically states that IPM at any time can, at their discretion, sue anyone in the neighborhood they feel is violating the covenants, and they do not need board approval to do the lawsuit, and they can hire an attorney at our expense on our behalf without our permission. It's stated very, very emphatically in their contract that they have the right to do that. They're supposed to notify us, and IPM claimed they did, but Joey was not aware of a lawsuit. So I'm not saying IPM didn't notify him, and he told me it could have been buried in his email, but I mean, this is what we're told. So it is our belief and understanding that the board was unaware of this lawsuit. Well, this lawsuit has been open since October of 24.
Well, with them resigning or stepping away from representing us, shouldn't that covenant go away then? I mean, it just sounds like a waste of money to pay. I mean, I appreciate all the cost savings you're doing, but it sounds like we're throwing money away on a lawyer of a lawsuit that we don't support.
Right. So that's why we're digging into it, because the lawsuit has been filed and it was supposed to actually go to trial in, it was supposed to go to trial in December, and they got a continuance on it, which we're really thankful for, because we still cannot get a hold of the attorney of record. And so just to cancel the lawsuit requires us to hire an attorney to do that, since the attorney of record won't get back to us. And from talking to a number of attorneys in the area, this attorney has a reputation of not returning phone calls and not getting back to people. So we're working to close. You know, we want to make sure that we close it, and we won't. We want to make sure we do the right thing. So we want to ensure that closing it is the right option, and that we're not liable or have any other risks. So since this has become a legal matter, we want to make sure to consult with an attorney that, you know, we're doing the right thing.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to derail, but it just didn't make sense to me.
Can I ask
Go ahead.
how much we are in for this attorney? Like how much have we spent on this lawsuit? Because that fence in question has been there since, and we've lived here almost 20 years, and it's always been 6 foot tall.
Yes. And we have not been given a digital record of our books. We have been given monthly records of a ledger, as well as monthly records of bills paid. And so we have not assembled that information. So we don't exactly know. I think it might be less than $1,000 based on some of the bills I've seen, but it's really hard to say. We are digging. We want to have that information and know that information. We just have, since we've only had the records for a week and a half, we have not been able to suss that fully out yet. But it's a great question and one of concern to us.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good question. We're very concerned about this. It is high on our list and on our radar for the health of our community and what's going on here. Shall I continue to the financials?
Does that answer the question? I know we're trying to be respectful of who's being sued and not mentioning them by name. A lot of people know who it is. But it is the number one priority we have with the lawyer right now, is to answer what's going on, because we don't even know what the actual lawsuit says, because IPM has not provided it and the attorney of record has not provided it. So we need to understand that, and then, you know, get legal advice on how to handle the matter. But I mean, we do not. It is of concern that this lawsuit was filed in the first place. I think we can safely say that.
We have a question here. Can the homeowners tell you?
Okay, I think if do you see a question, Jason?
I just saw a short text. Well, maybe we'll review that at the end here. We're almost done here with the presentation. We should have plenty of time for more questions on the lawsuit or whatever. So I'll just cruise through these couple basic overview slides, just trying to show what we have and how we're spending it, how we get it and how we spend it. As of yesterday, this is a little screenshot of our community financials bank account. We have 26,800 in there, and 2 people have paid their dues so far. We did pass a balanced budget for 2026, so we plan on hopefully having some money left over and applying it appropriately at the end. Go ahead and hit the next slide, Joe.
And just a quick note to people who may have concern, we have brand new bank accounts having moved to community financials. So we do not have the previous bank accounts that we had with IPM. Those, as far as we know, have $0 in them. And all money hopefully was transferred to us, as far as we've been told by IPM.
Yeah, pretty simple slide here. We have 113 units. Everybody pays in $400. That creates our operating budget of $45,200 for 2026. I just kind of put some highlights together. Thought it might be interesting to see what the major expenses are based on what we spent last year. And we have landscaping as our highest. Well, it's lawn care. It's mostly the lawn mowing. The landscaping company contract. The pool contract is second. With the contract and maintenance items that come up, you know, whether it's the rope that needs to be replaced or the ladder gets broken or, you know, chemicals. And then our next highest expense is property management. That would have been IPM last year, but this year it's going to be community financials. And then we get down to 10% is electricity. We spend about $4,000, $4,500 on electricity last year. And then the rest I just kind of compiled to simplify. The other 26%, like the bigger one was mailings. Everything else is under 10% added together, or individually added together is 26%. Trash, internet, water, mailings. Mailings is kind of the bigger one. So I think that's good for that slide, Joe. And just where we came up short last year, we had 6 members that were late by the fall, you know, around August, September area. And then 4 members paid before the year's end, and then 2 members did not pay by the end of the year.
And then make this quick because we really wanted this to be more questions. Apologize for how long it's gone. I'm sure that's me just talking too much. So just when we walked through the common ground, we identified a number of issues. The front entrance, we kind of felt was unsightly. The signs are not lit properly. The weed barriers coming up in front of the signs under the rocks. There's not enough rocks to cover the ground, meaning we need to replace the rocks, but they're discontinued. So, you know, there's that needs to likely be resolved. The pool landscaping, we're looking at what type of improvements can be made or what type of improvements need to be made in order to maintain the landscaping around the pool. And then irrigation, we're going to be looking at repairs and improvements for that. Of course, we won't know about repairs until, you know, we turn the sprinkler system back on after winter. And then we definitely noticed and highlighted the grounds between Highway N and the edge of member yards on Catherine's Cove. It's a mess. There's a lot of 6-foot to 8-foot diameter holes in the ground where trees were removed and the ground was never repaired. There's dead trees that need to be removed. The builder placed a bunch of rock for landscaping around the hill there, but it's all crumbling and rolling down the hill, and it's unsightly, I got to imagine, to the neighbors. From what we saw, it was pretty hideous. And then from people looking in on the neighborhood, you know, if they were to look and drive by, it looks pretty bad. So we did notate that. And then we are working with a neighborhood landscape designer. This person is providing their services for free. It's not costing us anything. And they're going to be working to design like a revamp to the entrance and pool area. And we plan to go out for bids on that. And then once we've assembled all that information, we'll hold a special meeting and present all that information to the members and look at different options with the members, and the members will decide how we proceed. So that's what we have so far. We just wanted you to be aware that we do realize there's problems in the neighborhood on the common ground. It's our responsibility as the board to make sure we manage, the common ground and keep, value up for the neighbors, but it's ultimately the members' decision that drives these things. So we just want to be transparent in what's going on. And then Pool Pros did notify IPM last year in fall that the pool tile needs replacement and that the coping needs to be redone. Pool Pros submitted a bid for that. When the pool reopens, we plan on getting additional bids, and then we need to confirm as well that we actually need to do a repair. We haven't confirmed that yet because we only have Pool Pros telling us, and we haven't had anyone else look at it. So we do plan on looking at that and providing more information when we get it. And that is it. It's now, open to you guys. What questions do you guys have? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask whatever questions you may have.
Well, first, I'll say thank you for the work that you guys have put in so far. Obviously, to me, my concerns are, we have no money in reserve. We have no backups. We're a major pool repair, a major building repair from being broke or under. We need to come up with some ways to generate more revenue. I know there's some ways out there that can be done without raising assessments. So, there's communities I've been in that, hey, if you buy a house, there's a buy-in fee to the association of whatever can be $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. So people that have lived in this subdivision for years have paid assessment fees. Luckily, no real significant special assessment fees. But people that come in enjoy those amenities at no cost. There should be a buy-in, and that money should go into a reserve account. $20,000, I think, is in change was what was left in there. That's nothing. If you look at what you're talking at for the landscaping repairs, that money would probably all be eaten up right there because nothing is cheap anymore. But nobody wants to raise their assessment fees as well. So, but everything has gone up, and so we look at things, and then I just would ask the board to go through the bylaws and the covenants and enforce them. There seems to be things we enforce and there's things that we don't enforce. And so I'm just, from the new board, I'm just looking for consistency. So, be consistent and enforce it, so hopefully, once we make the improvements to the common ground, such as the entryway, I think we're the only subdivision on, in or any of the major roads that doesn't put up some kind of holiday decorations at the front of the entrance. We just look like a substandard community inside our community.
Definitely appreciate that feedback, and we definitely want to provide more to the community and make sure that we are not just maintaining, but looking good so that people drive by and people drive in and are proud of what they see and are not thinking this looks disheveled or no one cares about this neighborhood or no one maintains. So we definitely want to do more, and we do have, I think, 26,000 in reserves, and some may see it as a lot, some may see it as not much. State law does not require reserves for an HOA. Some states require reserves, and our covenants don't require it either. So, we have researched that, but we are going to be speaking with the attorney about the covenants and the enforceability of them. For those who've been here since pretty close to the beginning, a lot of us don't believe the covenants are enforceable against the neighborhood currently. And so we are gonna work with the attorney to verify whether or not the covenants are enforceable, and, you know, we can explore, if they're not enforceable, we can explore options with the neighborhood to see if the neighborhood wants to fix that. So that is definitely a priority on our list, and something we as a board have agreed is a priority for the attorney to determine. And it's in our meeting minutes from I believe this year. I think it was the first week of January, first or second week of January, that we listed out our priorities for the attorney to look at. But we definitely want to enforce them, and we want to enforce them in a fair way so that they're, we're not picking and choosing what to enforce. Because everything should be enforced. It should be fair across the board. Anyone else have questions or comments or thoughts? Just remember, you need to unmute yourself. You've all been unmuted by me, but you do have to select to unmute yourself.
Yeah, Todd, thanks for your feedback. I appreciate it.
Not that I think you guys would go rogue, but for this board and future boards, is there a limit on what you can approve to spend prior to, like, before it has to come in front of the neighborhood for us to I guess, to vote on, if that makes sense?
I'm not sure that's in the covenants. If I understand your question correctly, you want to know if the covenants specify a certain dollar value that the board can execute without member buy-in.
Yes. Yes.
I don't believe that's stipulated in the covenants, but I think that would be a good addition to look at.
It made me nervous as part of the board way back when, of just having that. Just I wanted the neighborhoods buy-in. I wanted people to be, transparent. And like I said, I'm not concerned necessarily with the current board, but just going forward, just making sure that, that 3 people can't be the voice of our neighborhood and decide to go rogue and spend, X amount of money on whatever they see fit, without a vote or knowledge.
And we totally, I mean, Jason can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the board is unanimous in that we want to ensure that whatever we do this year has full member buy-in, that we're not going and saying, okay, we think we need to spend $20,000 on fixing the front and some of the other things that we talked about in these slides, and we're going to just pull that 20 grand out of the reserves and do it. That is not at all our approach. We want to make sure that we are only spending money that the members are agreeing to do. Of course, there's things that we as the board have to determine. Hey, do we need to hire an attorney to get some answers to some of these things, like, and if there's money to do that, then and I think it's always been budgeted. We did not budget for it in our budget this year, because we felt really strongly to have a balanced budget. But yes, we do not plan on making any large payments, I guess, without member buy-in on maintaining this neighborhood, because we feel that the members should be making that call. I think the only exception to that is an attorney, but that also, if that became a burdensome amount, I don't believe that we would be spending that without coming to you guys and saying, hey, is this something you want to proceed with? And then going out for a special assessment. I mean, at this point, our budget is balanced, but we know there's going to be things that pop up. And I kind of look to, the original president of the neighborhood and how she handled things, and that, you know, we needed pool chairs replaced, you know, a small special assessment or whatever. And that's kind of our approach with this is, you know, the budget can't support people throwing chairs in the pool and replacing them. The budget can support maintaining the neighborhood, and we plan on reassessing even that. You know, come July, our plan is to say, hey, we've been on the board 7 months. We've seen all the bills. We have a good handle of what actually is being paid. Do we need to come to the members and offer up raising the dues? I mean, a number of people have mentioned it. We know there's a number of people against it, but you know, what does the budget support? And right now we don't have a handle of that, but we want to get a handle of that and take a wise approach of waiting and assessing and then making the determination of, do we need to raise it, and if so, by how much? And you know, Todd's suggestion of maybe amending the covenants to say if you buy a house here, you have an upfront payment, that certainly can be explored as well with the members. And we do plan on doing an amendment of sorts. We know there's things that need to be fixed so that we don't have repeat mistakes that we've seen over the years, and we want to address that as well. It's just not high on our list as of today, since we have a number of things pretty high on the list, but we want to reassure the members that we do not plan on doing any repairs, pool repairs or landscaping repairs or anything like that without coming to the members and getting their support. And if the members are like, we don't care about that, well then, you know, that doesn't get repaired, because we do not want to be a rogue board. We want to be a transparent board that works with the members and for the members and not by ourselves.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah. What other questions, concerns, thoughts do people have? No one else out there has any?
I'm going to see if I can look at the list of comments here.
Good, because I don't have that up. I probably should. It should be another window.
I saw a few go by, but I'm not sure how to pull them up.
Hi, Joe. It's Mary.
Hi, Mary.
I just had a quick question since about the lawsuit. Since you can't get the paperwork from the attorneys and the other company, could you request it from the actual homeowner that's being sued?
Great question. We're trying not to contact the homeowner without an attorney present, so that
Okay.
we do not want to create a conflict of interest, and it would be in that person's best interest not to talk to us without their attorney present, because it is, after all, a lawsuit. So to try to ensure that we are not acting improperly, no one on the board, while being on the board, on the elected board, has approached this person, just to ensure that we do not have even the perception of impropriety on this. But we have spoken to the attorney, and the attorney has told us that they will be requesting the information from the attorney of record. And my understanding from talking to our attorney is that it shouldn't be a problem to get it. They know this person, have known them for over 20 years. It's just a matter of getting them to turn the records over. So I would say I feel pretty confident that we will get the records from the attorney. His name's Lester Stuckmeyer, is the attorney of record. And I would say that the attorney we hired seems very confident that we will get those records and that won't be an issue.
Oh, so is Lester the one that's not responding?
Correct.
Oh, I've dealt with him before. Yeah, he's a peach. Screw him. He's a douche.
Yeah, we've heard similar things from
Oh, yeah.
both attorneys we spoke to on the phone before deciding. They were like, who's your current attorney? And before we even got the full name of Lester out, they're like,
Yep.
oh gosh, please don't tell me it's Lester Stuckmeyer. We're like,
Yeah.
oh. So
Yep.
yeah,
He worked for DNI Properties, and he's awful. Awful.
Yeah,
So,
that's what we've heard.
yeah.
so
Is
it
there
is.
any- Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm reading this message before I lose it. If the
Yeah,
lawsuit
I
has been
saw it.
filed, the court will provide it to you or the HOA attorney, fire Lester. Yeah, so, oh, here, now I can see all the messages. Okay. So, yeah, the lawsuit, just to shortly clarify, it is in motion. It is happening. It was started before we could do anything. It was initially scheduled in early January, like you said. And it's going, it's happening. It is like, we can't stop it. So, at least at this point, without getting a hold of the attorney, right? So we've reached out to Lester a few times and we've gotten no response. Before IPM was no longer our agent, we requested contact information through them as well, since they hired him, and we just haven't gotten anywhere. So,
I say everybody email Lester. Let's blow up his emails. Come on, Lester. Where are ya?
Yeah, we had to
so
find
I
his
appreciate your
contact
sentiment.
info. We had to find his contact info ourselves. IPM did not provide it, and we did ask IPM to reach out to him to get him to contact us since IPM hired him. But and we did eventually. IPM did eventually say, I've reached out, but hey, he's
Well, they need to do it again.
right. And so at this point, I think we've not had. In full transparency, we have not had great cooperation out of IPM, and so asking IPM to contact the attorney is a lost cause. But working with the new attorney to get the info, I think we'll get it. We don't have
The
it
only
yet
thing we
because
know is what's on CaseNet. That's all we know.
yes, there were no records provided to us. And we did not get our final payment from IPM of our reserves until, I believe, 2 days ago. And so we couldn't hire the attorney in the sense of paying him a retainer until we got the lump sum from IPM. And that, even though we requested it in December, we did not get it until, I believe, 2 days ago. And so because of that, he has not, I don't think, requested that information yet from Stuckmeyer, but as soon as he gets money, then he will work the case. But he is aware of our priorities and understands that the number one priority is, getting info from Stuckmeyer and figuring out what is even going on with this lawsuit.
So if they would have given you the information and payments, it probably wouldn't have gone through in January. Is that what you're kind of hinting at?
I believe they got a continuance in December for this to go forward again in March. But I would say I think we'd have more information right now to give you if we had money early January or in December to actually hire an attorney. And we did not feel IPM provided an initial payment of $4,000. And we got that, I think, the first week of January. We did request it in December. We did not get it. And so we did not feel it was wise to use that $4,000 to hire an attorney because that's all the money we had. And so we didn't want any gotchas coming. And so we waited for the lump sum to come. And so that's kind of where we sit. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. And then I see the 1002 Morgan Meadow Drive. Sorry, I haven't memorized names yet. That would be great if that existed. And we do not have a complete set of our books, at least in my opinion. And we do have a concern as to whether or not all the funds have been transferred. And so I think you know, the verification there, we are on that. That is a huge priority for us to figure out, because especially because what we were presented with end of October or in November for end of October dues, we calculated a much larger amount owed to us. And I believe our letter in December stated that we believed that the amount that was going to get transferred to us was, or I believe, around 31,000. And
Yeah.
and what was transferred to us is significantly less than that. And everyone on the board is unanimously concerned that we may have not been provided all our funds. And so we did, when we accepted our the resignation or the, you know, quitting of IPM, and they requested to be out by December 31st, we stated to them in the letter, you know, based on everything you've provided, we believe you owe us this much money. And if you disagree with that, please provide us information detailing out why we're wrong and that it's not been provided. And so we do not have anything from them on that.
So I just want to jump in here. We got some comments here asking about a CPA in the neighborhood. Should it have a CPA verify that all funds due from IPM have been transferred to HOA? So yeah, we may go to that route. We just got the funds 2 days ago. We were glad to see those funds show up. I did previously myself reach out to the bank. So I did get a hold of a U.S. bank, and I spoke to a very helpful person there. They're only part of it's a HOA division of U.S. Bank. And so I was able to confirm and that money was there, and I will be probably following up with them because it is our money. It's not IPM's money. They were the agent, but it is our HOA's money. So I'll be following up at the bare minimum with that individual that was very immediately helpful when when we were concerned that we weren't going to get the funds. So I'll be having a follow-up conversation with them probably this week or next week.
And the
Hopefully that
comment,
answers your questions.
and then there was a comment that the new attorney and CPA together can force all records and funds be transferred to the HOA. We have discussed that as a board, and right now it's looking like that might be something we have to do with the attorney to get the rest of our records and whatever missing funds may or may not be there. We want to make sure we're careful. We're not saying, you know, we understand this is being recorded and IPM could view this. We are not saying IPM has done anything wrong. We're saying that we are concerned because we do not have all the records, and that the funds that were presented to us in November are not the funds we expected to receive in January. And so, and we, in fairness, have told IPM to tell us if we were wrong on that, spell it out and show us, and they have chosen not to do that. We asked that December 20th, I want to say. So they've had ample time to respond. Most of our questions have gone unanswered. They have answered some questions. And Jason has had a conversation with IPM on the phone and received some answers to some of his questions. It's just, we would very much like to see a digital record of our books, and we do not have that. And so,
Yeah. And just to kind of, we just got the funds, so we got to reconcile what the paperwork says to what the funds. We got to do that still. That's probably going to take a while to dig through that because they're just PDFs. They're just print offs of accounts of what we do have. So we'll be digging into that for sure.
and we've looked at exporting the PDFs to Excel. I have Acrobat Pro, and the way the PDFs were made, you cannot export it in a way that would be helpful. It does not export at all. So it would be quicker to recreate the ledger she provided than it would be to try to export it and fix the export. And so there's a lot of information to dig through, and if an attorney could get us an electronic copy, that would be huge, and we'd have a greater insight and a much better understanding of our accounts. I mean, even as it states now, we don't even have a record, as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but IPM invested $25,000 in CD January 1st of last year, and it matured December 7th, and we asked for a copy of that paperwork, and we don't have that. So it's really, we're not sitting in a boat of great understanding because we have not been provided all our records. But
Yeah,
we are actively pursuing all avenues to obtain the rest of our records as well as understand the records we've been provided.
Yeah, I think that's well said. Just a little reminder on time here. It looks like we have about 6 minutes. It's 6:54, so about 6 minutes. Is there any other questions? Anybody else have any other questions or concerns?
I got a question. I just want to ask this as a poll of the 20 people that are on here in the subdivision. Is there anybody in here thinks we should take this lawsuit against our neighbor, or should we just drop it? Do we need an attorney to tell the neighborhood to drop it? Or is there enough people in here that are agreed that we should have never sued somebody for a fence that's been here for 20 plus years because it was built 2005?
I mean,
I
I think
think it's ludicrous we're suing them. If we have other properties with the same fence doing the same thing, it's absolutely crazy that we should be doing this. And I think I understand what you're saying about not reaching out to the property owner, but I think if I lived in a community that I thought was suing me, I'd want them to reach out to me and say, hey, we understand we're trying to get this dropped just as you are. It's a frivolous lawsuit. Because otherwise, why am I going to be happy about living in this community? So I don't know. I think they would be interested to hear from you that we're on their side.
I
Thanks,
totally
Todd.
agree, and I think they do know that. People who are not on the board who have spoken, like we were made aware of this after the special, prior to the special election, we were made aware of this lawsuit. It came to our attention, and so there are people who've been speaking to this person who were not on the board at the time, and I think they understand that we are working to vacate this if that is a possible option. But we've also had neighbors voice to us, one or two, that they were concerned that if we dropped it, it maybe would put us at risk for future lawsuits or something, or put us at risk for not enforcing certain things in the future. But I think that's why we're trying to just make sure an attorney reviews it and says, yes, dropping it is the safe option and this should never come to pass. We're kind of looking for verification from an attorney, if that makes sense. Because we have had one or two people, I think somebody thought they had filed liens against this person and were under the impression IPM filed a lien against them. And IPM, when IPM got hired, they closed out all open liens, and then they started fining people. The IPM has not once, since they've been hired, ever filed a lien against anyone in this neighborhood. Instead, they fined them. And so that is also of concern that this lawsuit was brought over fines, and fines are not called out in the covenants.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to everybody I'm seeing the messages in the that you're putting in there. Don't waste money on attorney, drop it. Understand the builder put a fence in, just drop the lawsuit, drop it. So I'm seeing a lot of feedback. I appreciate everybody typing in the messages here. Anybody else? We got about 2 minutes left. Anybody else?
Hey, real quick, I don't know if this is the elephant in the room or not, but the Facebook page, it got pretty ugly there, and I know that it had to be shut down. I personally miss it just because there was information as far as like trash pickup. People would put, hey, it's on holiday schedule or what have you. Um, I mean, any thoughts on if we want to put that back in play? Can we all be grown-ups and stop name calling and being jerks to each other? That'd be great.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your feedback and bringing that up. Yeah, Joe, do you want to handle this, or you want me to talk about it?
I would say we'd very much like to see the Facebook page get put back in place. As a board, it's a great avenue to let people know what's going on, and even to seek feedback. Having to send out letters to get information is costly, and Facebook is a nice tool to have. On the same note, I think going forward, we need to, whoever hosts that, I believe, I don't think it's a secret. Alyssa Moore, I believe, is the owner of that. She started it way back when. We do not have control of the Facebook page, and we do not want control of the Facebook page. We want it to be a member of the community so that it's, not something dictated by the board. I certainly don't want that responsibility, but I think we need to have people enforce respectful, calm behavior, because from what we've heard, people have stopped posting because they didn't want to be attacked. And, should be a community place where people can reach out and say, hey, we noticed somebody's dog outside. Is someone missing a dog or whatever? It should be a place that we as a community use as a positive force and something that's helpful. And, we don't want to see bullying or mocking or, disrespectful behavior. And I think that should be enforced. It's enforced on every other group I'm involved in. I'm involved in a camera group for my camera series, and they post very emphatically what your behavior can and cannot be. And if your behavior, descends from that, you get, kicked out of the group or temporarily banned. I think that would be something positive to enforce within our community, because we want people to be able to voice concerns or voice questions without being attacked. And it definitely got ugly, and I started avoiding it. I didn't want to be attacked anymore, so I started avoiding it. And so I think I would really like to see it brought back, and I've heard that from another number of members as well.
Yeah, and I think that the Facebook page would be more of like for announcements and the missing dog, and that any concerns that someone might have, I would encourage that those people to voice the concern with the person they're having the concern with. Social media is never a good space to be doing that. So that's my 2 cents. And I volunteered with Alyssa. This is Sarah Size. I told her that I would help her manage that. I have no problem, and it's not me digging my head in the sand, but I do conflict resolution with elementary students all day long. I have no problem doing it with adults.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. And to all of our volunteers, the previous board members, Sarah, Alyssa volunteering, people have watched, taking care of things over the years. It's another volunteer thing. And we'd have to take care of the ones who are volunteering, right, for the Facebook, and have to deal with that and manage that. So yeah, I know I've had several people ask me or mention it to me that they're concerned about it, they miss it. I know it was a good thing. I was not on it myself, but I know it was a good thing. It was very useful.
Any other thoughts or questions, comments?
Hopefully this was helpful to everybody. I appreciate everybody joining us. Hopefully we get some more people to join us next time.
And just, just like we did with the special meeting back last year, give us a couple days, because it's going to take a couple days, but we will post the video on YouTube and send a link on the web page, and we'll post minutes to this special meeting and attendance. And I think the only person I don't know address for is Nancy, who's on. Everybody else posted their address, or I know specifically who they are. If you put your perfect, thank you. That helps. And so now I can log everybody who attended. Appreciate that. And we will get it posted, and check out the website. We've been trying to be very transparent as a board and post it, as much information as we can. And of course, it takes time to post and get that information collated and whatnot. But we're trying our best to be transparent and provide as much information as possible to you guys.
Yeah, email us. The email hits all three of us. Feel free to email us.
Yes, and we did update it. We realized doing, WHWHOA@kernernchilds.com is a lot of freaking letters to type in your keyboard. It just was the best way we could do it, that I could do it at the time, because I knew how through that account. But I did figure it out on the domain we own. And so board at whwhoa.org will also send to all three of us. You can use either. I didn't shut down the other, but I assume board at whwhoa.org is a lot easier to remember and type and spell correctly. So, that's out there, and we posted that on the website as well. And, I am on the board, but I do own the website, and the board does not own the website. I, as a member, own it. And so when I update it as a member, but the information I post, if it's related to stuff we've gathered as a board, I get the board's permission first, just to make sure that I'm not posting something the board disagrees with. But that is managed and owned by me personally. And I don't plan on selling it to anyone. So, I like that the website and hopefully Facebook, if it comes back, is managed by people who aren't necessarily on the board. I think that's a positive thing. But it looks like there's no other questions. So we really appreciate you all taking an hour out of your day and joining us. And we plan on providing more information as we go through. Again, like we said, we want to be transparent. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, documents you want to see, please email us. We're more than happy to provide that information to you. And we continue to work to do what's best for the neighborhood. So thank you so much for joining tonight. All right, I'm going to stop
See you, everybody.
sharing and the meeting. Thank you.